Hey there, Randall Voss, Iowa State University Extension and Outreach, and today we're talking poinsettias. So why is the poinsettia the quintessential holiday plant? A couple reasons for that is they're day length sensitive plant. So they naturally bloom this time of year because as days get shorter than roughly 12 hours, it triggers them to bloom. What is a poinsettia, or what are the flowers on a poinsettia? So these are actually called bracts. They're a modified leaf that provides the color for a poinsettia. The flower is actually this little item in the center called a scytha. And it doesn't have petals. It's not very attractive, like from a human perspective, but the actual flowers on a poinsettia are these tiny things in the center, and they will drop off once they bloom. But the bracts on the outside give it the color, and they are what lasts a long time and give those poinsettias a long display life. Big question people always have is how much to water them and where to put them in their homes. Basically, when you buy a poinsettia, it's not going to grow much in your home. They finish growing when you purchase them. So, some good indirect light is good. I'd keep it away from like a register where you're getting a lot of air moving in, because the air is very dry and it dries the plant out a lot. The way I like to check to see if they need watering is not actually to stick my finger in like some people do. I like to actually lift up the pot. If it feels light, it probably needs to be watered. If it feels heavy, probably not. So just lifting the plant up will give you a good indicator if maybe you need to water it or not. So let's say your poinsettia dropped its leaves. What caused that? Could be a couple things. Most likely it probably dried out. Poinsettias, when they dry out, will intentionally not drop the bracts on the top. That's the colored part of the poinsettia. They will drop those lower leaves. So if your poinsettia dropped its lower leaves, it's probably because it dried out. Let's say you got one of these guys for the holiday season and you want to try and get it to bloom next year. It's not that simple, unfortunately. Poinsettias are a short day plant, which means they need consecutive hours of darkness to trigger them to bloom. So on a poinsettia, for example, it needs about 12 hours of consecutive darkness for about a month and a half, give or take, before it will trigger to bloom. So it's pretty challenging in your home to do that because they have to be in the dark from say 6 in the morning to 6 o'clock at night to get those 12 hours of darkness. And if you're turn on the lights a little bit or you flip a lamp on or something like that, that's going to break up that consecutive time of darkness and prevent it from blooming. So it's tough to rebloom in your home. It is possible, but you got to be cognizant that for about a month and a half, give or take, you're going to need about 12 hours of consecutive darkness every single day to trigger it to bloom. So tough to do. So let's say you want to try and grow one of these the following year after you purchased it. What you probably want to consider is A, it's really challenging to do that, but B, eventually you want to pinch off the expired flowers or bracts and probably in the summer sometime get it growing. If you can put it outside or near a window, that's very important because they're going to need a lot of light to get them to grow. And you can grow them two different ways. Well, if you decide not to pinch them aggressively, you get one long stem with one huge flower on it. We call that a straight up. Or if you decide to pinch them several times or pinch them period, we get what's called a branched plant, and you get lots of smaller flowers. And so it's just a choice of what you prefer. Most of the poinsettias you purchase in the store are what we call branched or pinched poinsettias because you just need one cutting to get a nice full plant. These straight ups, to get multiple flowers, you need multiple plants. It's a much more formal look because it's just one huge flower, but whatever is your fancy in terms of style you want, you can do. One of the major poinsettia pests today, and that is whitefly. Whitefly are kind of what they sound like, little white looking fly-ish things, not actually a fly, but they will lay their eggs on poinsettias, and they're really hard to control. There's two types that generally attack poinsettias. There's the sweet potato or silverleaf whitefly, and then there's the greenhouse whitefly. Unfortunately, one of those has become resistant to a lot of the insecticides that are commonly used in the commercial trade. And so managing whitefly has become a huge challenge. To identify whitefly, we can look at sticky cards, which I don't have right here, or we flip the leaves under. If we look at the undersides of the leaves, this one really doesn't have too many or any. They like to lay their eggs on the undersides of the leaves. So when we scout we can't just look at the top like this. We want to look at various ages of leaves. Sometimes people don't look at the old leaves and sometimes miss them. But when we're scouting for them, we want to look at all different ages of the leaves to see if they're hiding underneath there. So one way that we've started to control whitefly in the commercial greenhouse industry is with these guys. In light of the fact that some of these insecticides aren't working, is with beneficial insects. So what this is, or was, this is a card that had whitefly larvae and pupa on it that were infected with a parasitic wasp. So the parasitic wasp lays its eggs inside these pupa and larvae of the whitefly, and they kind of eat it from the inside out. And so what these are, we set them in the greenhouse at regular intervals, and that releases these parasitic wasps to go spread throughout the greenhouse. Then hopefully they will lay their eggs in any of the whitefly that are actually in our main crop. So there's two different species of whitefly, the greenhouse and the sweet potato. And there's two different species of parasitic wasps. And one prefers the one species of whitefly, the other prefers the other species. So you have to diagnose which whitefly you have to know which parasitic wasp to release, or a lot of people will just release a mix of them. So this is actually a mix of both species of parasitic wasp, so they can cover any of the potential whitefly issues. If they have silverleaf or greenhouse whitefly, either way, these will control them. So let's say you got your poinsettia varieties mixed up in the greenhouse, you're not sure which is which. One way you can tell what color they're going to be is by looking at the petiole. So you look at this variety here, here's a leaf blade, here's the petiole. You notice that the petiole is a red color, so we know that this is going to be a variety that has red bracts. Here is a white variety, so it's got white bracts. And if you look at the petioles on these, they tend to be a very light green, almost whitish color. And so we won't be able to tell exactly what cultivar it is, but you know that it's going to be a white poinsettia.